Every character, location, or experience you've read about in my crime fiction novels holds a piece of reality. I'm Helen Taylor. Welcome to the story behind my stories, the video podcast where crime fiction meets my authentic experience. Here, we delve into the real-life inspirations and intimate stories that shaped my novels. Discover how my everyday encounters, adventures, and travels translate into tales as gripping as they are genuine. The story behind my stories goes behind the words on the page to reveal the backstory that inspires my writing. Hit follow or subscribe and ensure you're part of this journey. Hi everybody, welcome to the season finale of Story Behind Don't Die For Me, Argentina. I've really loved doing this one because it was very much a dream come true for me to go and be a cowgirl for a week, and I hope I've given you back some of the awe and inspiration that I got being in Argentina, and it wasn't destroyed by what happens in the book. Because it hasn't been destroyed for me. And I should probably, make that clear. Twisting and shaping what I do to put my own experiences into a fiction novel doesn't destroy it in any way. When I think of any of the riding or fudge or anything that I did in that week that I was riding across Patagonia, I think of my experience, what I did, what I enjoyed, and what happened. I don't carry with me any of Penny's experience there. So this is the last episode. The story behind my stories book of the story behind Don't Die For Me, Argentina will expand and have way more pictures and everything like that. So look out for that. Should be out early next year. But I'm really excited. Look out on social media for next Thursday's episode. The 20th of June is when Tie-Dye, How a Year in Thailand Turned Into a Thriller Novel, is out. It's got lots of pictures and it's got a whole load of stuff in it that never made it into Tie-Dye or into the podcast. As one of my ARC readers has just said, it made her laugh, it made her cry, it made her blush. That wasn't in the podcast. So that's out next Thursday. And then the following one, Connecting Trains, How a Career in IT built a major investigation team, is all around my working life and experience working with teams, like the podcast was, but this goes into a lot more depth, and there has obviously been a lot more working life since then, and my working life finished yesterday, so all of that will feed into that too. So yes, look out for that. And I've also got a really exciting idea to do a guest season where other authors come on the podcast and we do the story behind their story. So look out for that on social media. Otherwise, we'll be back for a couple of weeks before Die Trying comes out at the end of August 2026, which is set at a rugby club, and we will start the podcast of the story behind Die Trying a couple of weeks before launch, so you can get a taste for it. Right, that's it. Let's get on with this episode. Final one of Don't Die For Me, Argentina. And I'm going to read you a couple of extracts from when we got to the hot springs. Because in the book, this was quite a key area where things happened that I cannot reveal, as they will destroy the book. But I can read you the part of the book where they arrive, and I'll get on with that, and then you'll get the gist of it. The trail curved sharply, and suddenly the wind shifted. Penny felt it first, a change in temperature, a hint of moisture. Then she saw it. The view. As they rounded the mountain. Below them the valley opened wide, a vast bowl of green and gold framed by distant peaks. A stream snaked through the centre, glittering in the light, and there, nestled against the far slope, was the shelter. A small stone hut, weathered and low, with a corral beside it, and steam rising from a pool just beyond. The hot spring. It shimmered like glass, the surface rippling gently, surrounded by smooth rocks and patches of moss. Penny exhaled. It looked like something out of a dream, a place untouched, a safe place. And that was it. We'd been told we knew before we ever went on the trip that there was a hot springs. And we knew when we started that was the further point, if you like, and that we were going there, and then we were going to the lake for the following day, and so we could swim with the horses and everything, and then we'd come back and have another night at these hot springs, and then the next day we'd pick up the cattle, and then we'd be driving the cattle back towards the ranch from the pasture they were in to the pasture closer to the ranch for the gauchos to deal with them. So we knew we were going to a hot spring, but by then we already knew that it was, wild camping. So to see a hut was a surprise, because there was a stone hut where they did keep various stores and bits of equipment. And that was the only place that was an actual set sort of camp. But it was a really small little hut, and then beside it, sort of a corrugated iron shelter, I suppose, to help from the wind, which had the fire. We built the fire in, and then again the toilet was over behind some bushes, 100 yards away or whatever, and so you could see the steam rising, and the way it was laid out, the hut was away from it, and it was a natural hot spring that I think had maybe been built up with the rocks to make it pool in there, and then it trickled away from there in a little river, which then dropped over the side of like a bank into a river. There's a little waterfall, but the waterfall was so sort of little that it was only, 6 or 8 foot high, but it made the perfect shower. So that's where we could have an actual shower. And they provided like organic shampoo and conditioner and shower gel so that it didn't destroy anything in the environment when we used it as a shower. So that worked. So we all got there and we untacked the horses, put them in the little corral, set up our tents, and then went and got in the hot spring. There was the smell. There was a definite smell, and but it was just like getting into not a jacuzzi because there wasn't bubbles and stuff, unless they were human made. But it was like a hot tub, just warm. So I'll read that bit now. Penny let the heat of the spring soak into her calves for a moment before climbing out, removing her jeans and shirt, then stepping back and sliding the rest of the way in. The water enveloped her like a thick, warm blanket, the kind that made your bones feel heavier and lighter at the same time. She'd not felt how cold she'd been until the warmth hit her skin. The ache in her thighs lessened first, then her lower back, then the tightness in her shoulders. Around her, the others eased in, one by one. Annabella was the first to fully commit, lowering herself with a sigh that sounded almost indecent after the day they'd had. "God, that's good," she murmured, leaning back against the smooth rock. Amy Lou followed, slipping in quietly, her face softening as the heat wrapped round her. Anique waded in next, her movements slow, as if she were afraid the water might vanish if she disturbed it too much. Anique sat beside Penny, her expression unreadable. She dipped her head back, letting her hair float around her. For a few minutes no one spoke. The steam curled around them, blurring the edges of the world. The mountains softened, the sky seemed closer. The air smelled faintly of minerals and earth. Penny felt her breathing slow, her heartbeat settle. She closed her eyes. For a moment, she let herself drift. The warmth seeped into her bones, loosening the knots in her muscles, softening the sharp edges of her thoughts. She could almost pretend they were just a group of riders on a long trek, tired but content, soaking in a natural hot tub at the end of a hard day. That wasn't. That's what she was pretending. That wasn't her reality, but it was mine. We had an awesome time in the hot tub. It is so what you needed, particularly me and James, because I think by that point we had got to the point where we were, I can see why they're all 20 years younger than us. It was hard work being in the saddle all for the majority of the day, every day, and this was day 4, 3 or 4, and we ached. And then sleeping effectively on the ground because we just had sort of the rugs from the horse's saddle and then our sleeping bags. And then even when we stopped for lunch and we'd lay out for a couple of hours in the heat of the day before we started riding again, that was just laying on the floor. No, sun lounges, anything like that. And we were older. I was 55. He's 56, I think, 57. Just a little bit older than me. And they were all so much younger than us. So it was really, really nice to sit in a hot tub and just soak some of that aching away as well. And especially if you listen to the last 2 episodes, Broken Glass Mountain and Getting Lost. And just the tension of riding with that fear, nerves, sort of thing was very draining and bad for your muscles and everything. So the funny thing was when we got up the next day, um, we all had a bit of a lay-in and then we all rode out to this lake where we rode round the lake. It was stunning, beautiful turquoise blue lake. You'll see the bottom and everything. And we were riding the horses in and just lounging around. It was a proper relaxed day. But when we got up that morning and we packed the horses up and had our breakfast and whatever, and we got on the horses to go, it was one of the younger ones, one of the youngest ones, 23, 24. She said, oh, I ache, or when she got on. And the person that she'd been sharing the tent with, when she got on, she made some crack about aching, being too old for this or whatever. And both me and James looked at each other and thought, okay, so it's not because we're old. Everybody is feeling it. Everybody is feeling the ache of that level of constant physical tension, if you like. Not tension in a bad way tension, but the muscular tension and the sort of the fear side. And so that was a really nice break to it. And again, the food we had there was really incredible, but it was because we were then, well away from any access by anything other than horseback. It was very much what could be stored in the hut or what we could carry that was dried. Couldn't, there's no way we could have anything fresh by the time we got there. So we had a sort of a lentil stew they cooked, which was really tasty, really tasty. And bread, we carried bread with us and stuff. So yeah, it was great. And then, like I say, we had the shower, so we all had a bit of a shower. And then to go off the next day to the lake, and we could swim in the lake and also ride the horses into the lake and have a lazy day where we rode there and we rode back. But even so, I'd like to say that the ride to the lake was an hour and a half each way. Then we knew when we got back to the hot springs, we could go back in the hot spring again. So that was quite a nice relaxing bit before we then went off and did the full cattle drive. I'll just read you another extract when they're back in the hot tub. A splash broke the quiet as Annabella shifted, stretching her legs out. I swear, she said, if I had this in my back garden, I would never leave. Amy Lou laughed softly. You would be a prune. Worth it. Anique leaned back, her eyes half closed. It is surreal, is it not? Being here, after today. Amy Lou nodded. Feels like we're in a different world. Penny let the warmth wash over her again. The water lapped gently against her collarbone. For a moment she let herself believe they could stay like this, suspended, untouched, safe. So that was that. And at the lake, they rode the horses into the lake. And I do mention it, do use it in the book as well. But again, in the book, it is a day of less tension. And so for this book, I have used a lot of the real experience. Like I say, the people are not the people that I was with. Some of them aren't so good. But yeah, I think I need to finish off this by saying it really was, for me and for James, an absolute dream come true. And I think I said this at the start. It so far exceeded my dream of being a cowgirl. The environment, the location, the experience, and I suppose I should say about the cattle drive. There'll be loads of pictures, really cool pictures, in the book version of this. But and I have real videos, and it's funny because the real videos you can play them, and I'm right back there. I am right back there on Fudge, chasing cattle. But the big thing about the cattle drive on the way back was the noise. The noise of the thundering hooves, the yeehaw and this one, and all of the shouting, cracking of the whip, and the thundering of the horses' hooves and the cows' hooves, but also the mooing constantly. Whenever you've seen it, if you've watched westerns and anything, and the noise that's there, that is, I don't know, that for me, that just gets me right deep in my heart. It's a sound that is built of dreams for me, and it was everything I wanted and more. The whole hot tub thing, the food, the landscape. Argentina, South America, was sort of the last country on my bucket list that I wanted to go. And I couldn't have done a better trip to complete that list. Would I go back? No, I wouldn't. Not because I think the experience would be any less, and I'd love it just as much. I'd probably feel more secure in my riding and everything. But I wouldn't go back because I wouldn't want anything to diminish the memories of this one. Because it really was everything dream come true for me. And I love that I could use so much of it without tarnishing it in Don't Die For Me Argentina. And as I've said before, all of these stories, the novels that I create, are based on my own experience. But that experience was before I wrote. So I'm not there as a writer and observing to be able to write, knowing that there's going to be a novel. I am there wholly immersed in the incredible experience I'm having, and it's only later when I think, okay, I'll write a book, and how do I put that together, and how do I do it? And then I use those memories who make that book alive. So it's not a fake experience that I'm using in the books. It's a genuine experience that was lived at the time as that experience, not as a writer observing to be able to write about it later. That's what I'm trying to get across. Don't know if I did that. So that's it. That is the end of the story behind Don't Die For Me Argentina. And it's been a wild ride. I really hope you enjoyed that. And if you read the novel, I really hope you love the novel. if crime fiction is not your thing and the story behind the crime fiction is, then look out next week for the first one, Tie-Dye. How a Year in Thailand turned into a thriller novel. And then give that a read and look out for the new author series that I will start promoting now I'm retired and a full-time author. I will start promoting over the coming weeks. Hopefully with the success of the Tie-Dye one, and start working on the Connecting Trains one, which is going to be a goodie. So thanks for listening. Please subscribe so you know when future ones come up. Pop over to my website, sign up for the newsletter. And if you sign up for the newsletter and you'd like some exclusive content about the story behind, let me know, because I can do that. And take care, and I will catch you for hopefully the author one season. And if not, Die Trying out the end of August. So from sort of mid-August, we will start reading extracts and getting the idea of the story behind Die Trying. Have a great summer. Take care. Bye.